Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. This is Stellaris Faster Than Light. I don't even really know what Stellaris is. I know the name vaguely. I think it was a video game, maybe a strategy video game from like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago. I don't know. I don't play this style of game, so I don't remember much, but I'm pretty sure it's a game. I see gaming news. I remember titles sometimes, but Pobat threw this into the queue, and apparently it's a good soundtrack, so I guess I'll have to figure out if that's the case by listening to it, and without further ado, let's go. Okay. Immediately in with that space age ominous vibe. Oh, I hear those 80s synths under there now. They're sneaking in the vibes, I feel it. There's like little sound design textures in there too, like little like twinkles of stuff happening. It's really soft. But I always appreciate them putting in more work to that texture in the song. Getting a little bit more of it in there. OST songs like this are always so cinematic and they take a while to get going, but I can already tell I'm not going to be disappointed once it kicks in. I did not expect vocals. That caught me off guard. Is that an oboe? It kind of sounds like one. It might be synthetic though. It doesn't sound real, so maybe a sample pack? Right. So far, beautiful. Interesting choices being made with the sound design stuff, little subtleties. I always love that. The organ now, adding in some more tension right before this. Now we're kind of getting vibey. Why does it feel post-apocalyptic gothic 80s? It's a weird combo. But I feel like it works. The difference on the vocal line there, separating the strings. I like it when they do that. A little arpeggiating synth, just kind of bouncing around between the ears. Always appreciated. A little bit biased to that. I enjoy that sound. It's like it's flossing my brain. I really do like that detail too, where it kicks into double time on the drums. I don't know why that feels so good. I think it's maybe just because I'm not expecting it to happen. I'm not used to that choice being made, especially in songs like this. I think it's interesting that the vocals and the strings are doing the same melody, like pretty much consistently. I feel like there's probably a version of this where there's no vocals, just because that would make sense with them doing the same thing. I love settling back down into a piano instead of the organ. It's a good way to adjust the vibe of the song at the last second. I assume we're getting close to the end. It's a good way to close it out and bring you down. These like long held out chords too, keeping a very firm presence until it fades. Dude, all right, that was beautiful. I honestly expected it to feel a little bit more cinematic at the beginning, but it ended up kind of becoming its own genre, and I think that's really neat too. Usually when I talk about songs like this, especially ones that are this long, because I know they're so long, I end up yapping more during the reaction part and kind of getting my thoughts out there, so these sections end up being a little bit shorter. But I do want to bring specific mention to that concept of how it became kind of its own genre through all of what it did. This song started with me thinking it was going to be something that would bolden itself and become more cinematic as it went. And it did have cinematic elements to it. It definitely did have that. It had the sense of scale, it had the sense of presence that cinematic music does have. But what it did also do is change my expectations as it went in by throwing in things like the specific drum samples used, the specific like 80s style kind of synths it had. It felt like it was trying to make a combination of worlds to create its own world. I've talked about that in a few reactions before, where that's kind of the core of what you want to do when you write songs for a new reality in a way. You want to make a sound that's specific to the place you're creating, and sometimes just kit bashing different concepts into what ends up being the sound you create for your world is kind of the goal. This has that cinematic energy, but it also has this stuff that I wouldn't necessarily call cinematic, like these 80s style synths, those really dry, punchy, crispy drums, these sounds that just don't really work in that cinematic context usually, because most of the time they want something that sounds more grand. You'll bring in larger percussion and not just like a kit set of samples, like whatever else in there. And 80s synths are not used for cinematics. They're usually used for like pop, you know, like it's a completely different genre and a completely different goal. But it also broke that up by having like that arpeggiated synth in there that was just kind of dancing around and again kind of creating a whole different idea of where the song might go. You figure it's going to loop back around or do something similar, and it's just kind of acting as a bridge in a way. I'm not sure for what scenario that might be useful, but it works in the song because it's just kind of there as a bridge between what was basically a chorus into another chorus. chorus, you don't want to just double that up. It gets repetitive and boring. So having a little bit of a break makes sense. And by having this specific synth in there, just kind of dancing around, it kind of makes you feel like you're in a more of a sci-fi scenario, using those sorts of concepts to their advantage to make this world make more sense tonally. Obviously, through sounds like that, I'm expecting this to be sci-fi. I mean, that was pretty obvious by just seeing the image in front of me that this is a sci-fi thing having to deal with other worlds and science fiction in general, just approaching that. And of course, a lot of the stuff that was synthetic in there, all those synths, all those ARPs, were pushing me in the direction of going, okay, this is sci-fi. But I would have understood that even if I didn't have this image in front of me due to those sounds. But I would have been thrown off by having that like 80s synth in there, because that is usually not met or matched with these other arpeggiated synths. It's a different tone, it's a different sound, but if you put them together in the same piece and then match that with all this other cinematic stuff, the singer herself kind of has that tone that feels cinematic. It lends itself well to that concept and to that tone. It's big, it has energy to it. It's a little bit thin, but also very full and well controlled. She's a great vocalist, and that lends itself to the cinematic side. So when you're kind of meshing all this together into one song, you create something new. This is a new creation, a new sound, a new world, a new identity for the place you're creating. And that is and will forever be one of the most important building blocks of creating a world that feels real, that feels lived in. You can always make stuff that's just the same genre over and over again. You can always make stuff that exists, but when you take stuff that exists and you put it together, you create something completely new. Think of like, I mean, this is going to sound weird for people who don't know what this word means, but I will explain. Jizz. In Star Wars specifically, it's not jazz. It's their own version of jazz. It's a completely different cantina sound. It's called jizz for some reason. Don't ask me, ask George Lucas. I don't know, but that's what it's officially called. Don't at me. Feel free to look it up even. I don't care. Just be careful. Put safe search on or something. But point being, that wasn't jazz. It was its own unique identity and branch of that genre. Nothing in the world of Star Wars sounds like another genre of something else. It has its own identity in the world. Of course, you have John Williams' other work in Star Wars that sounds more standard cinematic, what we've come to expect out of him as a composer, but in universe, that sound doesn't necessarily exist. Other sounds and other influences of music do, much like jizz. I hate having to use that word, but you understand what I mean. There's a whole separate identity to that. There is a conceptual basis that if you create the world with its own culture, you will create a more influential, a more impressive world, something that feels more lived in, more real. So when you make stuff like this, even though this is just an OST and it's supposed to kind of give you the vague vibe of the universe, similar to what John Williams did, it makes itself its own by allowing itself to be free and mesh those other genres in there. And it feels so much better than what you would have gotten if you just asked somebody to go, give me cinematic space music, because it would have sounded boring and plain and comparatively way less interesting. This is a world. That is a soundtrack. This is a universe that I can live in. That's an option for me. The other is music. While that's great, it just doesn't have any characteristics that make it its own. But I've been yapping about that plenty, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have anything else you want me to get to, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best as always. Or if you want to do what Pobat did and guarantee a request, you can go onto my Patreon or my YouTube memberships. There are tiers where you can force me to listen to something. It is guaranteed, no matter what it is, how goofy it is, how fun it is, how awesome and epic it is, how creative it is. Anything you want, I have to listen to it. But otherwise, if you just like this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!